Have you ever felt like life is slipping away? Like you're either stuck in the regrets of the past or lost in the worries of the future? What if I told you that the real peace, the true joy, and the greatest strength lie in just one place? That place is the present moment, the now. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most powerful and life-changing books ever written, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Let's explore how being present, letting go of the noise in our minds, and embracing the now can transform the way we live, think, and feel. Part 1. The present moment is all there is. The power of now. When we go through our daily lives, we often find ourselves stuck in the past or worrying about the future. The past brings up memories, regrets, and sometimes even pain, while the future is filled with uncertainty and anxiety. We constantly think, if only I had made that decision differently, maybe my life would be different now. But the truth is, the past is gone, and we cannot change it. We can only live in the present moment. Living in the moment means stopping the cycle of constantly thinking about what has happened or what might happen. When we let go of these thoughts, we allow ourselves to be fully present in what is happening right now. The present moment is the only reality we can experience. It's the only time we truly live. We often think to ourselves, when I have this or when I achieve that, I'll be happy. Or I'll feel complete when X happens. But the problem with this thinking is that it places our happiness in the future, which may never come or may not come in the way we expect. This makes us forget that we need to find happiness in the present moment, not in some distant future. Eckhart Tolle writes about this in The Power of Now. He emphasizes that if we let go of our fixation on the past and the future and start living fully in the present, we can experience profound peace and joy. Now is the only moment we can truly live in. When we live in the present, we stop wasting time and energy on things we can't control or change. The secret of living in the present moment. Have you ever noticed that when you are deeply immersed in a beautiful experience, like watching a sunset or enjoying nature, you lose track of time? You become fully absorbed in the moment, and in that moment, you experience pure joy, peace, and connection. This is the present moment. It is when we are truly alive. The secret to living a fulfilled life is learning to embrace the present moment. The now is where life happens. It's where our thoughts, emotions, and experiences come together. If we could only realize that the present moment is the true essence of our existence, we would find peace, joy, and freedom. The beauty of life is that it is happening now, and yet we often overlook it, thinking that happiness lies somewhere else in some future event. When we are no longer attached to the idea that happiness or fulfillment is found in the future, we begin to see that it is right here, right now. Past and future, the illusions. Eckhart Tolle also discusses how both the past and the future are illusions. The past only brings up regrets, memories, and things we cannot change. And the future is filled with fears, hopes, and uncertainties, things that may never happen. Have you ever realized that when you are worried about the future, you're actually not living in the present moment? The future is always coming, but never truly arrives. When it does, it's always the present moment. The same goes for the past. It's a thought that no longer has any reality. Our minds constantly trick us into thinking that we need to fix the past or prepare for the future. But the reality is that life only happens now. The only thing we can truly experience is the present. How to live in the present moment. The question arises, how do we begin to live in the present moment? The first step is to bring your awareness to the present. Focus on whatever you are doing in the now, whether it's eating, walking, or just breathing. Pay attention to the sensation, the movement, and the feeling of being alive in this very moment. When you do this, you will begin to experience a sense of peace as your mind quiets down and your attention is fully on the present. Another way to live in the moment is by observing your mind. Don't try to stop your thoughts, but simply watch them without judgment. When you observe your thoughts from a place of non-attachment, you will find that your mind becomes more peaceful. This allows you to reconnect with the present moment. Part 2. The mind is not our master, it should be our servant. The power of now. We often hear people say things like, "I can't stop thinking," or "My mind keeps racing with thoughts I can't control." These are common struggles, and many people live their entire lives feeling like their mind is constantly in charge of them. But the truth is, the mind should not be our master. It should be our servant. We should observe our thoughts instead of being caught up in them. The mind is an incredible tool. It helps us plan, think, solve problems, and make decisions. But the problem arises when we identify too much with our thoughts. We begin to believe that we are our thoughts, and this is where we get into trouble. When we think too much, especially about past regrets or future worries, we lose touch with the present moment. The mind starts to take control, and instead of using it to our advantage, we become slaves to it. This can lead to stress, anxiety, and a feeling of being overwhelmed. But Eckhart Tolle teaches us that we don't have to let our thoughts control us. Instead, we can choose to observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them. When we start observing our thoughts as they come and go, we create a space of awareness between us and our thoughts. This space allows us to break free from the cycle of overthinking. The mind and its illusions. One of the biggest illusions we face is the idea that we are our thoughts. We think, "I am the one who is anxious, sad, angry, or fearful." But this is not true. Thoughts are not who we are. They are simply mental patterns that arise in our minds. To understand this better, imagine you are sitting quietly, observing your thoughts. Do you see how they come and go like clouds in the sky? Some thoughts are pleasant, others are unpleasant, but they all fade away eventually. Just like clouds, thoughts don't define you. Eckhart Tolle explains that the mind is just a tool. It's an instrument that helps us navigate life. However, when we get too attached to our thoughts, we forget that we are not our minds. We are the observer of our minds. We are the ones who can choose to pay attention to certain thoughts and let others go. When we let our minds take charge, we often become trapped in negative thought patterns. For example, if we keep thinking about a past failure or an argument we had, we stay emotionally stuck in that moment. This can cause anxiety, depression, or frustration. Observing the mind. Becoming the observer. The key to breaking free from the mind's control is to become the observer of your thoughts. When you notice a thought arising, don't identify with it. Instead, simply observe it. You might think, here's a thought about something that happened in the past, or here's a thought about something I'm worried about in the future. This act of observing creates distance between you and your thoughts. It's important to realize that thoughts are like waves in the ocean. They come and go. They are not permanent. When you start observing them, you create a gap of awareness, and that awareness gives you power over your thoughts. For instance, the next time you feel anxious or stressed, try to observe the thought that is causing you to feel that way. Ask yourself, is this thought really who I am, or is it just a passing mental event? When you create this space between yourself and your thoughts, you will begin to feel a sense of freedom and peace that was previously unavailable. The role of awareness. Eckhart Tolle also highlights the importance of awareness in transforming the relationship we have with our minds. Awareness is the key to breaking the cycle of compulsive thinking. When we bring our attention to the present moment, our thoughts lose their power. The more we practice awareness, the more we realize that we are not controlled by our minds. We are free to choose what we focus on. Another powerful practice to cultivate awareness is mindfulness. Mindfulness allows you to stay grounded in the present moment, even when your thoughts start to wander. It's like training the mind to stay in the now, rather than letting it drift into the past or future. From being controlled to taking control. The moment we start observing our thoughts, we stop being controlled by them. Instead of being swept away by a flood of worries, regrets, or fears, we begin to live from a place of consciousness and presence. We start to recognize that we are in control of our minds, not the other way around. As we become more aware of the patterns in our thinking, we can also start to change them. We can choose to focus on more positive or constructive thoughts, and over time, we become less and less influenced by the negative ones. This is the true power of becoming the observer of our thoughts. Part 3. The concept of the pain body. The pain body is a fascinating and significant concept discussed by Eckhart Tolle in his book The Power of Now. The pain body is an emotional pain that accumulates over time, and it represents the negative emotions such as past trauma, grief, anger, and sorrow that are stored in the body and mind. What is the pain body? The pain body is a collection of emotional pain that builds up over time from our past experiences, such as childhood trauma, the loss of a loved one, or any distressing event. This pain is like an emotional burden that stays within us and influences our present life, often without us realizing it. The pain body works in a complex way. As it builds up in the body, it takes the form of emotional energy, which increases over time. We often do not notice it, but it is there, lurking beneath the surface, affecting our daily lives. This emotional pain is hidden within us, and when we encounter stressful situations or experiences, the pain body reactivates and resurfaces. The pain body and the present moment. According to Eckhart Tolle's teachings, the only way to end the pain body is to live in the present moment. As long as we remain lost in the pain of the past, we miss out on the beautiful moments of the present. The pain body wants us to remain immersed in the suffering of the past, but in reality, the only way to release this pain is through awareness in the present moment. The pain body is linked to past memories. When we dwell on the past, the pain and emotional wounds resurface. We end up losing ourselves in old memories, and in doing so, we miss the present moment. Recognizing the pain body is essential for freeing ourselves from it. When you feel anger, sorrow, anxiety, or discomfort, you may be experiencing the pain body. Understanding that it is just emotional pain tied to past experiences allows you to see it for what it truly is. Once you recognize it, you are no longer a victim to it. Here's an example. Let's say you recall a painful memory from the past, like a broken relationship or a personal failure. Suddenly, you feel a wave of anger or sadness rising within you. This is the pain body at work. Once you realize it's just emotional baggage from the past, you gain a sense of control over it. How to free yourself from the pain body. 1. Be present. The most effective way to end the pain body is to focus on the present moment. When we shift our awareness to the now and observe our emotions without identifying with them, we can release the emotional pain associated with the pain body. 2. Awareness. Paying close attention to your emotions is crucial. When you feel a surge of anger or sadness, acknowledge it for what it is, just the pain body trying to reassert itself. By simply observing it, you diminish its power over you. 3. Feel the pain fully. It doesn't mean avoiding the pain. Rather, fully experiencing the pain without judgment or resistance allows you to transcend it. The more you observe this pain, the less hold it will have over you. 4. Release the past. A significant part of the pain body is tied to past memories. When we hold on to the past, the pain body grows stronger. Letting go of the past and accepting the present moment is essential for freedom from the pain body. Pain body and the true self. When we reduce the effects of the pain, we begin to recognize our true self. The fact that you are the observer of your thoughts and emotions, not the thinker or feeler, opens up the pathway to mental freedom. When you are able to recognize the pain body and free yourself from its hold, you gain control over your mind. This process may take time, but once you become aware of it, you will experience more peace, joy, and freedom. The pain body can only exist when we are attached to past emotions and memories. Once you break free from the past, you can experience peace in the present moment. Part 4. See yourself as separate from the thinker. This concept from The Power of Now is profound and transformative. We are not our thoughts, but instead, we are the conscious beings who can observe our thoughts. This idea brings a major shift in how we perceive ourselves and our relationship with our thoughts. Understanding the thinker and the observer, Eckhart Tolle encourages us to step back and view ourselves not as the thinker of our thoughts, but as the observer of those thoughts. Typically, we become so deeply involved with our thoughts that we identify ourselves with them. If we are having negative thoughts, we believe that we are negative. If we are angry, we think we are angry. In reality, these thoughts are just transient experiences, and they don't define who we are. To separate yourself from your thoughts, imagine that your thoughts are like clouds in the sky. They come and go, constantly shifting, but you, the observer, remain unaffected by them. You are not your thoughts, just as the sky is not the clouds. The sky remains constant and unaffected, even when the clouds change. Why is this separation important? This separation allows you to understand that your thoughts don't define you. Often, we think that we are our thoughts. But in reality, our thoughts are only temporary and can change from moment to moment. When you realize that you are the observer, it brings a sense of peace, as you no longer feel controlled by your emotions and thoughts. For instance, if you experience anxiety or stress, you may feel that the anxiety is who you are. However, by observing these feelings, you create some distance between you and the anxiety. Instead of saying, "I am anxious," you can say, "I am experiencing anxiety." This small shift in language helps us separate from the emotion and view it objectively, rather than identifying with it. The ego and the observer. The ego is a key factor in this concept. The ego tries to convince us that we are our thoughts, desires, and fears. It wants to maintain control over our identity and how we view ourselves. However, when we begin to see ourselves as the observer, we take a step outside of the ego's influence. The ego feeds on identification with thoughts. It wants to continuously engage with your emotions and judgments. However, by simply observing these thoughts, we deprive the ego of its power. We are no longer subject to the constant chatter of the mind, and we stop identifying ourselves with the ever-changing mental states. Practical steps to becoming the observer. 1. Mindfulness meditation. One way to practice seeing yourself as separate from your thoughts is through mindfulness meditation. In this practice, you observe your thoughts as they arise without getting involved in them. Notice the thoughts, but don't attach any labels to them. Over time, you will become more aware of your thoughts without identifying with them. 2. Self-awareness. Throughout the day, practice self-awareness. When you notice yourself getting caught up in negative thoughts, take a step back and recognize that you are the observer. Remind yourself that you are not your thoughts. This awareness will gradually help you detach from the thoughts and reduce their power over you. 3. Create space between you and your thoughts. By acknowledging that you are not your thoughts, you create space between you and them. When negative thoughts arise, allow them to pass through you, instead of holding on to them. The more space you create, the easier it becomes to experience mental peace. 4. Observe without judgment. Another key aspect of becoming the observer is to observe your thoughts without judgment. The mind is always generating thoughts, but by observing them without attaching judgment or labels, you free yourself from their influence. You may notice judgments arising, but instead of acting on them, simply observe them and let them go. Benefits of becoming the observer. Mental clarity. By detaching from the constant flow of thoughts, you gain mental clarity. You can see your thoughts objectively and make better decisions without being overwhelmed by emotion. Inner peace. Recognizing that you are not your thoughts brings a sense of inner peace. You are no longer at the mercy of your emotions or thoughts. You begin to realize that peace is always available to you when you stop identifying with the mind. Freedom from the ego. By observing your thoughts instead of identifying with them, you take control of your consciousness. The ego loses its grip on you, and you can experience a sense of freedom and authenticity. Living as the observer. Living as the observer means recognizing that your true self is not the thoughts, emotions, or even the body. Your true self is the awareness behind all of these phenomena. When you live as the observer, you live in the present moment, free from the distractions of the past and future. In conclusion, seeing yourself as separate from your thoughts is a liberating concept. It allows you to experience life without being overly attached to the ever-changing nature of the mind. By becoming the observer, you transcend the limitations of the ego and experience a greater sense of freedom and inner peace. Part 5. Acceptance. In The Power of Now, the concept of acceptance is a key aspect that teaches us to fully embrace whatever is happening in the present moment without resistance. This practice not only brings peace and calm, but also uncovers a profound understanding of life. What is acceptance? Acceptance does not mean that you just accept everything without taking any action. It means that whatever is happening at this moment, you acknowledge and embrace it peacefully and calmly. You acknowledge the truth of the moment and do not resist it. The core of acceptance is to achieve mental peace and focus your inner energy on the present moment. When you try to understand and align yourself with the truth of the moment, you can find peace and happiness from it. However, if you resist it, it will only cause more pain and frustration. Why does resistance cause pain? In life, there are situations we don't like or that cause us harm. But resistance, meaning not accepting the reality and constantly complaining or fighting against it, only adds to our pain. There is a deep connection between resistance and pain, because when we do not accept something, our mind is constantly engaged in struggle. For instance, if you feel angry about a situation and refuse to accept that anger, it builds up and causes you more mental suffering. In contrast, if you accept the anger and understand that it is just a part of the moment you're experiencing, you can process it more calmly and peacefully. The power of acceptance. The power of acceptance teaches us that we do not have control over changing reality, but we do have control over accepting it, which brings us peace and freedom. When we accept the truth of life, we stop fighting it, and we begin to see it as it is. This practice mentally strengthens us and frees us. When your mind is in distress and you resist it, it leads to more pain. But when you accept that this is the moment you're experiencing, you ease the burden and enter a state of deeper peace. How to start practicing acceptance. 1. Talk to yourself. When you experience something that deeply disturbs you, say to yourself, "This is the moment that is here, and I accept it." These words will bring peace to your mind and help you embrace the present reality. 2. Live in the present. By accepting the present moment fully, your mind acknowledges the truth of it. After that, you begin to live in this moment and experience peace instead of fear or anger. 3. Accept others. We often judge others by their habits, flaws, or actions. But when we practice acceptance towards others without judgment, our hearts find peace, and we become free from inner pain. 4. Your mental state. Sometimes we are unaware that we live in a self-created mental state. We need to accept that whatever we are feeling is part of the present moment, and we need to pass through it without resistance. 5. Accept other situations. Many times, we experience situations in life that do not align with our expectations. It is through acceptance that we realize this is the moment we need to experience, and we move forward from it. Benefits of acceptance. Peace and calm. When you accept life as it is, without resistance, a profound sense of peace emerges. You stop worrying about the past or future and live in the present. Mental freedom. By accepting that some things are beyond your control, you stop trying to change them, and you experience freedom. Better understanding of life's reality. When you accept something, you can see its deeper truth. It gives you a more profound understanding of life. Distance from materialism. When you live in a state of acceptance, you are not attached to worldly things and desires. You understand that true peace and happiness come from inner calm, not external possessions. The truth of acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean we escape or ignore the difficulties of life. In fact, it is about seeing life as it is, in its true form. When you accept something, you also gain the power to handle it. It is entirely in your power to accept the moment and find peace within it. This peace opens the door to your true freedom. Life isn't happening yesterday or tomorrow. Life is happening now. If we can learn to live in the now, with awareness, acceptance, and peace, we unlock the door to true freedom. That's the essence of the power of now, not just a book, but a guide to awakening. So take a deep breath, let go of the past, don't worry about the future, just be in this moment. If this message touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, how will you embrace the now in your life? Until next time, stay present, stay peaceful.